Hello and welcome to the broadcast. This is Carmen Andrea Harris, the creator of Redefining Widowhood. So, on tonight's broadcast, we're going to be talking about the topic Every Year is Different in Widowhood. If you're new to this channel, my name is Carmen Andrea Harris, creator of Redefining Widowhood. I am a certified grief counselor and a certified life coach. I specialize in inner healing coaching as it relates to coaching. You can learn more about me and my services by visiting redefiningwidowhood.com. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn your notifications on. So, in this podcast, we're going to be talking about the topic Every Year is Different in Widowhood. So, as I reflect during what is the eve of the 5th year date that I've been widowed, I was thinking about how every year is different in widowhood. Today, my daughters had an art therapy appointment, and I had to sit in on the last part of the session. The therapist was aware that tomorrow is the 5th year date of my late husband's death. After she asked my daughters how they were feeling, knowing that tomorrow was approaching, she asked me the same question. When she asked me, I became emotional and the tears began to flow as I told her that this year I was more emotional than recent years approaching the date of December 16th. So as I sit here and reflect on that, I want to tell you who's listening, who's going through the ebbs and flows of widowhood, that each year will be different. I can't tell you how your years of widowhood will be, as everyone's experience is different and everyone's relationship and marriage was unique. I will tell you, don't listen to everyone's predictions on how your widowhood journey will be based off of their experience. I cringe anytime I see someone online making a generalized blanket statement of how years 1, 2, 3, 4, and beyond of widowhood will be for everyone based off of their experience. And I cringe even harder when I see women coming into agreement with the blanket statements and the doom and gloom predictions. So I want to say to you again, every year of widowhood will be different. Your year one will be different from my year one. Your year two may be different from my year two. Okay. So, based on my past experiences, these 5 years, tomorrow, December 16th, 2023, will make 5 years that I have been widowed. So, based on my experiences, year one, I was in survival mode. I was numb and I was literally being carried by the grace and glory of God. Now, I did find my voice again by giving a voice to widowhood when I started this channel in March 2019. Year two, this was when the reality that my late husband was never coming back and that I was really raising 2 children on my own hit me. This was also the year that the pandemic shook up the world and it triggered my regrets and false guilt surrounding my late husband's death. Oddly enough, I self-published my second book in the second year. I earned my life coaching certification and I met my widowed best friend on a coaching call during year two. Year three, this was the year that I decided to homeschool my daughters traditionally. This was also like a vacation and a rejuvenation year for us. We had moved to Florida, and after we moved back home to my hometown of Miami, we made our way up to Palm Beach County, which Palm Beach County, West Palm Beach is absolutely beautiful. So it was like a never-ending vacation for us, and it was also very rejuvenating because we would go to the beach on Fridays for what we call Fun Friday in our homeschool. We also received much restoration in this year. However, at the end of the summer of this year, year three, my widowed best friend suddenly and unexpectedly died. I was totally devastated. I was totally rocked to my core again by grief. I thought God had played some sick joke on me, and I just didn't understand why he would allow me to get so close to another widow who had so many similarities as me. She was a homeschool mother like me. She had a ministry call on her life, not for widows, but for wives. She was also an entrepreneur, and she was almost like a theologian. Like, she really knew the word of God, and she helped me to increase my faith. And she was able to allow me to be human while also seeing the grace and the gift of God on my life. So she was like literally sent from heaven. We would be on the phone for like 4 hours every time we got on the phone. She was my safe space, and also the person who would encourage me and tell me, hey, Carmen, like, widows need you. You're doing a great job. You're doing what you're supposed to do. Keep going. So when she suddenly died, it just really shook my world upside down when I was at a point to where I was kind of getting stabilized. And around that same time, when she suddenly and unexpectedly died, my daughters, they were doing swimming lessons, and the swim instructors, like almost every single swim instructor, got COVID. And swimming lessons, the kids are very close and interactive with the swim instructor. So around that time that my widow best friend died, my daughters had to get tested for COVID, and I was absolutely terrified. And I felt so alone because my late husband was not there. And my widowed best friend, who had become my safe space, she was not there because she had suddenly died. And again, I felt that feeling of being surrounded by family, but feeling all alone. So year 3 was a very interesting year for me. Year 4, again, my daughters and I, we received a major restoration, which that was last year, following up into this year. And it was a restoration in the form of something that just like I had been longing for, something that I felt like had been taken away from my daughters and I, just suddenly, and ripped away from us, just as my husband and their father was just taken away from us. So year 4, we received a major restoration that really like warmed my heart. Year 5, which was the end of last year, December 16th, and then all throughout this year. So year 5 has been a challenging year, to say the least, on many different levels. um, my daughters and I, they're growing up. My daughters, excuse me, are growing up so fast. Like my youngest daughter, she has officially spent more years without her dad as she did with him, because she was 4 when he died, and now she's 9. So she spent 5 years without her father and only 4 years with her father. And I remember when her birthday was approaching in April, I got so sad and so emotional because I was like, oh my goodness, like she has officially spent more birthdays without her father living as with him living. And that really did something to me. And then my oldest daughter, she had an experience that I just felt like, oh my goodness, your father should be here for this. And yet again, I just was super duper emotional. So even leading up to this date, I've been super emotional, and I don't really know why. I mean, I have no explanation. I count it to, the ebbs and flows of grief and widowhood. And maybe it could be because time is pushing my daughters and I further and further away from what was and what will never be, what will never be. I don't really know. But I just know that this year, and then especially the past few weeks, have been extremely emotional, more emotional than the past years. So I said all of that to say that every year will be different on your journey of widowhood. Just embrace the emotional roller coaster that is grief, that is widowhood. Understand that you are on a unique experience. Yes, we have experienced the same types of loss because we have lost a spouse, but just know that your journey will be different. Your ebbs and flows will be different. Your perspective will be different. So embrace your unique journey. I hope this has encouraged you, and I will speak to you on the next broadcast.